Good afternoon, guys. Thank you guys so much for tuning in today. My name is Tomas Daza, and this is the IB Digital Squad interview series. Today, we're fortunate enough to have Dr. Willox with us today. Dr. Willox, how are you doing today?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for asking. So I really just wanted to start out by saying how grateful we are that you're meeting with us today. We can only imagine how stressful finals weeks are for our faculty and for us as well. So the fact that you're taking the time out of your day to really let us find out a little bit more about you, your professional experience, and all the great things you're doing within our IB program at UCF. We really appreciate it. So thank you so much.
No problem. It's a nice break from grading.
I'm happy to hear that. So off to the first question. We really wanted to know more about your story. So everything within professionally or in your life that happened within when you graduated college and you're standing as Dr. Willox nowadays teaching at our IB faculty.
Sure, you bet. My story is a little bit of a winding road. I went to college for my undergraduate degree in Madison, Wisconsin, UW. So I had two undergrad degrees in communicative disorders and rehabilitation psychology, which has nothing to do with business. While I was in college, I started working for a company that provided services to people with disabilities, brain injuries, things like that. And I quickly was promoted through the company up to being vice president within my senior year of college. And I quickly realized that I knew a lot about our clientele and what their needs were and how to provide for those needs, but I knew nothing about how to run the company or manage the employees. So I had actually been accepted. Yeah, had been admitted to a doctorate program for audiology. So I was really interested in hearing disabilities. But I decided last minute, like literally probably 2 weeks before the semester started to change, and get my MBA instead. So I did a complete 180, started working on my MBA, kept working. And that was the point where I got addicted to school. Like my undergrad school was fine. Like I got through it, but it was when I was in my MBA that I really started to fall in love with education. And so from there, I went straight into my PhD program for business. That was great. I was just going to continue working in nonprofit, but I had this fantastic mentor for my dissertation, and he encouraged me to start teaching and actually set me up with my first teaching position, which then led me to fall in love with teaching. So I gradually transitioned. I still worked in nonprofit until about 2014, but I gradually transitioned to more teaching and then doing some consulting with businesses. And then around 2015, I would say, I started getting requests from these companies that I was consulting with to help them go more green. They kept hearing everything should go green, go green. And I was like, I have no idea what you're talking about. Like this was in none of my courses that I took through any of my college career. So I went back to school and got another degree in sustainability just because I wanted to stay relevant in my field. So every time I find something new that interests me, I just keep going back to school, which is, I don't know if that's good or bad, but a little bit.
The law for knowledge.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So from there, I've just been teaching, and then I came to UCF at the beginning of January here, and now I'm here.
I'm so happy to hear that. It's really interesting to me that you brought up that thing about sustainability, especially nowadays, and how emphasized is being within businesses and just how important. I was fortunate enough to learn it from your class. So that was some really, really relevant stuff that we're facing nowadays.
And it's been around for a while, so it's interesting because there's still this misconception that going green means that you have to go and be an environmentalist and hug trees, which is great. If you want to do that, that's fantastic.
Or that it costs more money, when in a lot of times it's the complete opposite.
Exactly. I approach it more from how can businesses benefit financially from making small changes that are both environmentally positive and socially positive to increase their financial bottom line.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I get way on how to tie in from that question, I guess. So talking about the course that you're teaching right now at our integrated business program. So business decision making, how would we be able to put that course into simple terms for someone who's interested in the IB program, interested in business decision making, and how could we put that in simple words for them to just understand?
So basically, it is a class that teaches how to make good decisions by using the data that's available to you, or the data that you can collect, identifying what data is important, and then how to analyze that in order to make projections for decisions in the future.
Absolutely. You actually explain it beautifully. I feel like I've taken that class throughout this last semester, and if there's anything that I've learned is how important data is in order to make informed business decisions according to output and all sorts within a company. So if there's one thing that I wanted to thank you for that class personally is just how beneficial it's going to be in terms of the future and me making well-informed decisions in terms of numbers and analytics and all that really goes behind with it. So thank you so much. That was beautiful explanation. And off to my last question was, is there any sort of advice that you would give newly incoming IB students which are interested in positions with business decision making nowadays, and especially with Corona and everything going on? What can they do to stay up to date?
I would say the first most important skill is just make sure that you are up to date with your Excel skills, because while the different models may change, if you are comfortable with Excel, even if something new comes along, it doesn't take you as long to learn it. So if you go into a company and you become that go-to person where they say, you know, so-and-so always knows how to figure this out in Excel, you're going to become the person who's most sought after. And
Oh yeah.
from there, with data analytics, just being able to understand how to read it. I mean, there's plenty of programs that can run the analytics for you, but knowing how to interpret the results and then apply those and make decisions based on those is going to be key to being a strong professional in the field.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. A lot of Excel, isn't it?
Yes.
Staying up to the times, but it does its magic. So that was it to finalize it, guys. Thank you guys so much for tuning in today. This has been IB Interviews by the Digital Squad. Thank you so much to Dr. Willox for sitting with us virtually today. It means a lot to us, especially throughout the pandemic. We wish we could have met you face to face, but we got to
Same.
adapt to the time. Absolutely, but we got to adapt to the times. It is what it is. I'm happy we get to get this content to all of our students and faculty as well. And it was a pleasure meeting you, getting to know about your experience, everything you've been through. And I can personally say that class really changed me and is going to affect me tremendously and the way and how I approach tasks in the future within my own business. So thank you so much, Dr. Willox. Thank you everyone so much for tuning in. Tuning next for a next interview. Thank you guys.